Hey everybody, so I'm back again for one more quick painting before I head out to Green Cove to go to the vendor's meet. I wanted to show you one of the things that I was teaching in class, and that's where you're injecting paint up underneath your other paint puddles. So this is the tool I'm using. They sell it at Sally's. It's $1.99. You can use any of the bottles that have a pointy tip like this. And all I did was take this and push it towards the paint and squish it a little bit while I'm doing it and pull back. Push forward, squish a little bit. You're just making a little river in there. Okay. Now as we get closer, you can see these little bubbles forming. And then as you stretch your paint out, it makes these long, wispy rivers. I can actually stretch this out further, but I actually have a cup of paint here that I'm getting ready to pour. So this is some free samples that I got from Golden Paints. It is a better paint, but I'm not used to working with it, so I'm just kind of looking at the texture, looking at how much mix I need to put in. I have not tried this yellow yet, or the quinacridone magenta. But they are pretty strong. And let's see, so here's another one I might be able to give you an example of. So you're just injecting that in there, and then you just let the paint kind of ooze into the white. And then once you stretch it, that's where you get these rivers and kind of wispy streams. Here's another one. Okay, so then you start stretching it. You could stretch this entire thing out to get a more wispy, dreamy composition. See how that just stretches? But like I said, I'm here to pour this other stuff. I'm just testing things as I go, and that's what these 8x10 canvases really are for. All right, so going for, what do I want to do? I think I'm going to do a double ring pour, and I'll put this big river of white in the middle. So let me show you guys. Okay. Okay, so this one has the Deco Art product in it that clouds up. It's in both of them actually. I just started pouring it out here, and then we've got it working over here. So we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna smush a little bit of this white in there underneath the paint. Look at that, let's change the picture totally by doing that. Squish as you go through the puddle. Inject paint up underneath there. Okay, so we have some of our clouds coming up. So what I'm trying to do with this pour here on the right is I'm trying to learn what colors work best with this Deco Art satin, because I eventually want to do a much larger piece, and I really want that paint to kind of stick to the Deco Art so that when it forms the clouds, you don't just see white clouds with a tiny bit of white around it. And that's kind of what we're getting right now, but today's test was how many layers I would need to pour. Blue layer, white layer, blue layer, white layer, blue, in order to try to have some type of reaction happen. And that is about 6 layers. And I'm still getting the same type of reaction. Look at this, from injecting, this is where I injected the white in there, and it's made these nice little layers. So it's just a great way to make your painting a little bit more interesting. Oops, and I've got some dry edges here, so let's put some white paint around the edge to help it flow. Okay. You can change your whole picture by doing this. Now I've got some of these little wispy edges here. grab your paint, swirl them out. And if you love that, you can just fill in this area with white. That way you don't lose it. Okay, just dot your paint in there, bust the bubbles. I'm running out of paint in this one. I have to get my other one. Of course, I got a giant bubble here in the middle. Let's get rid of that. So swirl, 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 get rid of it. Okay, this pile is still developing over here. Get rid of some of those. Don't really like those. Okay. Hey, Eileen. I'm just showing everybody a little bit of what's happening today. Today I'm getting something a little bit different because I started, for the paint classes, I was putting all of my paints into water bottles. And I just shook them all before doing paints today. And I've got a bunch of these little bubbles popping, which is making kind of like little snow droplets all over the painting. All right, I'm going to put a little bit more in the river here. Run a little bit more through here. A little bit more through here. All right, and I'm going to tip this around and see what we get. I think I'm going to collect what comes off the corner because I want to put some of that color over here. So I'll just collect this. Okay. Of course the corner didn't cover. Good grief. I'm going to end up losing all my paint. Look at those nice, long, wispy strands. Okay. We will return some color to the canvas on that side. And we'll pour out the rest of this cup because I'm going to pour it off, but at least it'll give me a wet on wet surface in the corner here. Wet paint against wet paint moves paint faster than if you just let it roll. It will roll on top of itself. And it will eat the design up as you go. So it's better to keep a wet edge. Okay, just filling in some of the edges over here with this white. Remember, if you have a boring area, just run some white through it. Run a different color through it. Okay, now we're going to tip this corner off. Let's get rid of that bubble. Okay. I'm going to have a hard time doing this with one hand. The cups are not sitting properly. Sandy, I would love to do one for the new house. We just got to get that new house first. And we are working on it. Okay, so I'm going to really let a lot of this drain off. Sometimes it's just a matter of patience and seeing how much you can let drain off. It kills me sometimes to let that much paint go to waste, but if you get the end result, then you're not really wasting your paint, are you? All right, let me clean up a minute. Get some paper towels here. Excuse me. Hard to do this camera work with one hand. Okay, let's fill in some holes again here. Get these corners covered up. Okay. This corner's seeping. Oh, I got paint dripping all over the floor. Oh, but Sandy, look at this nice puddle. Oh well, we'll get that cleaned up in a minute. Okay, let's see. Got some corners here. Or some edges here that are being stubborn. Look at all these edges. Let's see if I can do this without stepping in my own paint. That's another thing I like about these pointed bottles. Before I was dipping my finger in the paint and, trying to squish paint on these spots. Now I can just apply it directly to these spots. Just help this paint drizzle off. That way, you know, if you have color that drips over the edge and it makes a nice design, you do not have to use a frame. And for a lot of people that buy this type of art, that's what they're looking for. They're just looking for something different, something unique, something inexpensive, something they can hang up quickly. Alrighty, well that's it for now. That was my test on the colors here and some testing on getting these nice wispy little rivers. I do kind of wish I could get some of that back. Let's see if we can tip it just a hair. See how much of this design we end up tipping off. I'm losing a lot of purple by doing that though. It's okay. Alrighty, let's see. Looks like we lost a cup there. So let's, alright, since the cloud part at the bottom didn't really come out like I wanted, let's just tip that off and see what happens with this blue area. See if it gets any more interesting. More of the purples come out as I stretch this, and that's fine. Okay, I might tip that back a little bit. Oops. Oops, sorry, I was pointing it out the window. My phone was trying to rotate. Okay, so it's moving little by little, but I've lost all my little wispies up at the top. But I'm gaining some down here. I'm gonna see if I can get rid of this huge circle. Let's see what I can drag through there. Okay. I have a little bit left in this one. Take it through another one of those bubbles. Let's see if we can use this. Try to drag the design up and out. Okay, we'll take this up and out. Don't want anything sharp, so I'm gonna have to re-stretch this a little bit. Ended up with another bubble here, so I'm just gonna put my finger in it. There we go. Bubble disappeared. And let's see what we can do with this. There we go. Sometimes if you just stick your finger in the paint, it'll correct one little problem. There we go. Okay, let's see what we can get going here at the top. So, moving the darker colors towards the center of the canvas, getting rid of some of the clouds in the right corner. Okay. Can kind of see up underneath. I don't know if I torch it, if it'll come out. But right here, there's a lot of pretty color up underneath. Wish I could get that out. I'm gonna tip it a little more. See what happens. Yep, so basically I'm getting rid of almost all the clouds over there in the corner. Oops. That's just stretched out to another weird design, so I'm just gonna tap, there we go, tap my finger in it and get rid of that bubble. Okay. All right, the only thing to do now is torch it real quick and see if anything comes up. Sometimes torching ruins it, sometimes it doesn't. Like this one. I don't know, this is all metallic, and I don't know if the torch was too hot and it split the paint. This is a new metallic blue for me. So I don't know if I had too much Floetrol in it. If the torch was too hot, too much water. So that is one of the things that you learn when you start messing with new paint. Sometimes you learn you should have just left it alone. Anyways, thanks so much for showing up, and I'll see y'all later.